After the first 3 weeks of the NFL season, the Philadelphia Eagles offense is soaring high. They currently sit second in the league, averaging 411 yards per game, and are towards the top in both passing and rushing. Today we're going to take a look and break down their biggest plays so far this season. So this is his longest run against the Saints, and it's an interesting variation because typically where the backs align, they are zoning opposite, but the Eagles are going to do it the other way. So even though that Barkley is lined up right here, the line is zoning to its left. With Barkley's path being right down the center, it really doesn't matter which side he aligns on, and Hurts is able to read the outside linebacker. So here's the end zone shot, and so we're just going to get zone blocking across the front here. They're going to catch the Saints with some movement here, but they do a good job of passing it off. And the left guard here is able to seal and create a seam for Barkley. And once he has that seam, he does the rest. This time, the Eagles are in a 2x2 set, and they've got 2 tight ends tight to the left here with a stack of wide receivers. These guys back here are running a screen. So this is a great call versus this front. The Eagles are going to get 3 double teams. Their first one is going to be on this defensive end with these 2 tight ends. The left tackle and left guard are going to double up to this linebacker, and these 2 are going to double this defensive tackle to this linebacker, with this tackle just base blocking the end. This time Barkley is aligned more traditionally. He's going to attack down the midline of the center. You get great double teams here on the interior. These 2 cut off here, creating a seam. And the center displaces this defensive tackle where this tackle can overtake, and then he can come back on the linebacker. And there's the seam for Barkley to get through for another touchdown. So here's a look at their counter. They're going to be in the pistol here, which is not their norm, but they have started using it a little more. They're in a balanced 2x2 set, so they've got 2 tight ends here and 2 receivers. So down blocks with a kick and a wrap. So the Falcons here are in an odd front. So we're going to get 2 doubles here to kind of wall this off. Backside tackle, hinges to cut off, and anytime we're running counter, we're going to get a trap block here by the guard. And in this instance, we're going to get a wrap for that play side backer by the backside tight end. So great wall here. It's exactly what you want counter to look like. We've got a kick block here. So there's the seam for Saquon. And that tight end will lead up on that backer. Jalen Hurts sits 4th in the league in passing. Let's break down the concepts that Kellen Moore is dialing up for him. So we're going to start here with one of their staples, and it's mesh. And so we're going to get 2 crossers here that are creating a rub for each other. In this variation, we're also going to get a deeper cross here with the back check swinging. And then this receiver is supposed to get into kind of an in route, but he gets obliterated. So mesh is best versus man. It's got its answers versus zone, but it takes a while to develop. So they're getting the man they want. You can see here, both these guys, all these DBs are trailing, running with their man. And exactly why you run this play right here. We get the DB to run into the high mesher, and there's no one left to that side. So this is the rail variation. So the back here is going to wheel out, and that's typically the primary for the quarterback. These tight ends here, this one on the line is going to run a sit route over the ball, and this tight end here is the high mesh. They're going to motion this guy in to get a running start here and kind of a boost to get across the field. You're going to get a deep out cut here. So the linebacker does a good job of peeling here and running with the running back. But again, with this DB trailing and this DB having to get through the tight end, this low mesh here has another great opportunity for a run after catch. And that's what happens here. So they're going to start an empty in this one and motion him back in. That's just to try to get an idea of what the coverage is. So this is their 3x1 version. So this guy here and the single receiver are going to be the mesh. And this guy's on a drag here. The back can check and then swing. And then you've got an in route here. So these two crossers here create a lot of traffic. And hopefully this single receiver can lose his man going through all of that. So this safety here is going to try to run with the shallow, but there's too much space. And he pops open underneath. So now we're going to get a Y cross concept. So you're going to use this single here on a vertical route. And here's your primary. Here's the cross concept, who's on a deep drag coming across here. It's meant to stress this safety. If he goes to bracket here, you should get an opening. Now, to complement that, they're going to run a deep post here on the backside. That way, if this guy goes here and then this safety is all over the drag, you should have an opening for that post. Then you're going to get check downs to each side by the tight end, and if the back can get out of protection, he'll get underneath too. So we get a little fake here. Hopefully that sucks the backers up for that deep cross to work in behind them. So Hertz's eyes go straight to the right side, which is that cross post concept. So he's not even looking at the vertical. So with this safety opening up to the middle of the field, he knows that post isn't going to be there. So he's got to find the space in the window for this cross. He's got plenty of time and steps up in the pocket. And now that cross has worked open on the other side of the field. And the linebackers aren't deep enough to help the safety. They're actually going to run the exact thing twice. And it looks almost identical. You're going to get the takeoff here, the cross with the post, and again, your two checkdowns. Token fake. If he can get out, he'll get to the flats there. It's going to play out similarly to before. The safety's going to get depth, but not quite as much on the post. You can see he's aware of that drag. He's just too deep. But there's a ton of space underneath for that crossing route because the linebackers are in man on the two checkdowns. Another favorite call from Moore this season is what is commonly known as a Frisco concept. You're going to get a shallow drag here, and then you're going to get a sit route over the ball here. This puts stress on the weak side linebacker or wherever this drag is going. If they want to wall and carry this shallow, it should leave a window for this sit route. If the will gets depth to his hook zone and walls this sit route, then the drag should come open underneath. Now on the outside, you've got a speed out, which puts a high-low stress on the flat defender, and then you've got a curl here on the backside as an outlet. So the Packers are bringing pressure and playing man in behind it. This guy right here is responsible for the shallow and is at way too much depth to try to cover it. So it easily comes open. So here it is again versus Atlanta. You're getting this tied in on the shallow and this on the sit. This time the Falcons show zone, and so this just turns into a high-low read on the linebackers. Are they going to get depth with the sit, or are they going to drive on the shallow? The linebackers drive on the shallow, but so does the safety. So the safety thinks he's jumped it here. As you can see, he's waiting for that sit, but Hurts does as well and knows that he's still got a chance right here to get a completion if he throws it to that correct shoulder. The tight end pivots out to help too, and Hurts delivers a perfect ball. So here it is again versus the Saints. So we've got the shallow here and the sit here. We've also got a curl here to the outside that comes into play. So the Saints are in zone, and they do a good job of distributing this. You can see the Mike here sitting on the sit route, and this outside backer here could drive on the shallow. And they're in a cloud coverage here with the corner able to drive on the shallow. You also see that Hurts is already being flushed with some pressure, so he's going to step up, and that curl is going to work back to him. He's able to get outside the pocket and find someone downfield. All right, my favorite design by Kellen Moore so far has been this play here. So we're going to try to get some eye candy here. We're going to get motion behind and fake the screen, and we're going to get play action. The two receivers here are basically just running off, trying to bring any defender they can with him. After Barkley fakes, he's going to wheel out here. Now, this isn't just a one-shot play. If the Packers sniff this out and run with Barkley, they've got a shallow coming in down here that Hurts can check the ball down to. So the Packers bring pressure, but here it looks like your typical inside zone RPO play. These two receivers here draw the attention of three defensive backs. Now, the linebacker does sniff this out, but I think the Eagles are perfectly happy with Barkley one-on-one with the linebacker. Now, Hurts probably could have checked it down to his tight end for an easier play. With this guy trying to cover that shallow from distance, it probably would have been a big play too. But he puts the ball perfectly to Barkley for a touchdown. So far, these first 3 weeks, Kellen Moore's offense with the Eagles is rolling. The addition of Barkley has given them another dimension, and their offensive line play has been phenomenal. As of now, it looks like the Eagles are the front runner to win the NFC East.